hello.
Look at this! What the heck? What the heck's this? What's this happening over me?
It's me. I actually got dressed today.
What the heck is that?
I was like, oh, it's so sad. I actually got dressed and shit today. And we don't use cameras for the stream. And Blue was like, we can.
I mean, we can.
I was like, we could this whole time?
Yeah, I mean, like, we stopped because, like, you were having, like, issues with...
I was having a breakdown.
You were having a breakdown. You were having a breakdown, so you didn't want to be on camera. And then you had PC issues, so you physically couldn't be on camera. And then I started using VTuber, so I think you just thought that because I was using the VTuber, you didn't have to have your camera
I couldn't be on camera.
No, we've always been. I even said, like, you know, I was just gonna use it, like, while you couldn't use your camera. Like, if you ever want me to both have my camera and your camera, I can also do that.
I don't mind co-hosting with a VTuber. I don't give a shit.
I mean, this is our friendship.
Oh yeah, 100%. And also, like, it was so funny watching, like, when they do, like, community Final Fantasy streams, there's always, like, equal parts, like, PNG tubers, VTubers, and then real people.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
It's really funny. What's up, chat? It's me.
Yeah. I keep doing this all night.
Just looking up.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, what the hell are you looking at? And I'll be like, I'm looking at girls.
What's up, everybody? Okay, I've still got CR on. Hang on a minute.
You said you were closing it.
It's closed. It's closed.
Hello, Captain. You need a hug? We can give you a hug. You're sending internet hugs. Yeah.
I ran and cooked steak. I'm doing good. Sounds good
Hell
to
yeah.
me. I spent an hour cooking chili today.
Nice. We ordered takeaway.
You sure did.
Spook came home and he wanted a curry, so...
Yep. Figure out what the fuck I'm doing in Pop. As we get closer to Pop tomorrow, my anxiety level is like, it's not like a subtle curve, it's a sharp. It's like, I wasn't worried at all, and then it's up. What's Pop? Pop is Player Princes. It's the D&D campaign that Das runs, that we play on Wednesdays on this channel.
Yeah, so this time tomorrow, basically, we'll be running a D&D game. What is happening?
And last week, I killed a Demon Lord. Spoilers. And I really don't want to be the next Demon Lord. I really don't. Well, okay, clarification. I do. Because I want to be a Lord of the Abyss.
Oh, absolutely.
Pox would rather die, fully perish, than be a Lord of the Abyss. Can you imagine?
Oof.
As a blood hunter, someone sworn to defeat the evil of the world, becoming a Lord of the Abyss. Nope.
Hell no.
I'm sure it'll be fine. It won't be.
No.
It won't be. We've talked. I know it won't be.
I mean, if you need like suggestions or help writing your feat deaths, obviously feel free to throw it to the class, because obviously between us we have a lot of D&D experience.
A lot of DMing experience between us.
Yeah. And I can also throw it obviously at Spook, who is great when it comes to establishing balance for things.
Well, better place to wage a war on the demons than from the Abyss themselves. Look, the only way I think Pox could be convinced to actually take this would be to be like, you could take out the Hells.
You don't know that that's what it is.
We'll see.
It could. It's
right, yeah.
You have a. It could be a symbolic crown.
No.
Look,
we know what's happening here.
Look, I don't think we just killed a version. They ain't fucking dead. That weren't them.
I don't know. No, I think that was really them, and I really think that was all their alternate.
No, because I'm pretty sure it's like very core to their being that they have to be on their home plane.
Yeah, I don't know. Divination Spire makes everything weird.
Yeah. Well, because they literally summoned other versions of themselves in the fight, so it's like,
Also, like, Flackith wouldn't put that much effort into something that wasn't it.
True.
I'm also very aware that GIF adjacent person is still invisible and here.
Oh, yes.
So I might literally get shot in the side of the head before I take this crown. Because I'm literally, I will emphasize this enough for any of my party members that are in chat. I have 9 HP.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of that is temp.
We got pretty low in that fight. I was the same. There was the realization when I looked at one point. I looked at the map and sort of looked at what people were doing, and all I could do was message Frog and just be like, "I'm low," because Runara was like focusing on her stuff and also too far away from me. So I was just like, "You're the only person who can help me. Help!" Thank for Frog, because oh my god.
Yeah, me and Kay were doing a lot of communication about who was going to get Low back up as well, because Low went down. But I fucking hate Kay so much. I hate Kay so much, because I finished that on like 9 HP, bleeding, all that. Kay was like, hey, you want to know what my HP totals are? And I was like, yeah, sure. He said, like, I know I'm going to expose him by what his exact words. Where is he? Here it is. Varys, 40 of 46. Runara, 70 of 74. I was like, fuck you.
I'm so mad.
Fuck you.
Oh, I'm so mad.
Low nearly went down. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was it, because I thought Low had actually gone down. And then Kay was like, what are you...
Yeah. I played D&D before, and someone asked me to join into the game. Well, still need to make a character. I have some troubles remembering.
Yeah.
So I missed the first deadline. Oh,
yeah, I was like panicked messaging Kay, like, how do we get Low back up? And Kay was like, Low's not down.
Yeah. And it was definitely one of those ones where the little like corner of the map that was like the little trio of us was literally the raise your hand if you're on single digits, and we all raise our hands, and it's like
Yeah. And the thing was as well that I realized after the fact, because I thought Low was down, I was like, oh, I'll heal Low up. But I always forget that I take the damage I heal for. I would have gone down, getting Low up. Because the minimum amount the maximum I could roll would have taken me down. So I would have got Low up, but
yeah,
at what cost?
Oh, it was a great fight, and I love the attack, the telegraph attack thing. It was good.
Oh, the sloppy.
Yeah,
the sloppy was good.
Because that's what the thing of like when those big massive attacks hit, you're just like fuck. But when you're given like a turn's warning, it's like fair. There was warning. There was warning there, and I chose to take it.
It's like moves that have in Pokemon that have the stunned round. It's like, fuck, that really hurt, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, hey, it's like or like fly when it goes up a turn before.
Yeah, dig. Yeah.
Hello, gelatinous friend. D&D question: if you were wearing a ring on your finger that is counted as equipped, and you put a string through it, put that round.
Yeah, it's like it because if it's a magical ring, then it takes an attunement slot. In which case, it doesn't matter where you wear it.
Yeah, you don't. You don't technically have to wear it on your finger.
Yeah, and if it's just decorative, you can wear as many as you want in as many places as you want.
Yeah, because D&D isn't like a video game in that you have like ring slots. You have attunement slots, which is something different. So if you have a magical ring, you just have to attune to it, and then you can wear it around your neck, around your finger. You can probably have it in a pocket.
Generally, the answer with D&D things is like whatever you and your DM agree to.
Yeah, it's flexible.
Yep.
But yeah, there aren't technically equipment slots. It's just the rule of logic of like, can I wear 2 hats? And it's like, well, yeah, you'd have to put one on top of the other.
You tell me how.
Yeah, and it's like, well, can I wear 3 boots? And I'm like, well, you've got 2 feet, so explain to me where this 3rd boot is.
If you're like, well, I hold it in my tail. It's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I had a villain who was mega buff because he had like 5 rings. Yes, because one of the NPCs took some of them off him before the final fight, which is very important. And we very quickly gave them to some of the other people in the party of like, oh, Ring of Defense, give that to our already freaking 25 AC dwarf. have another additional 2 AC, please. Tonk. Stonk.
I took that level of rogue on Pox, and like I just like took a step back after the session and just looked at Pox's character sheet, and I was like, I have made a monster.
That's just because
my 3 equipped items are Ring of Invisibility, not Displacement Cloak, Cloak of Elven Kind, and my magical crossbow. I'm like,
this is just how we play D&D. If I cast a spell on it, I mean, you'd have to be more specific than that. You can cast multiple different spells on multiple different items.
Yep.
Casting a spell on an item doesn't necessarily make it a magical item.
Yeah. If you cast a light on it, it's just, I mean, you've made a torch. You made a ring torch.
Yeah, that doesn't take up an attunement slot.
But yeah, Pox is, like, getting scary. Not just appearance-wise, because Pox is always scary, but, like, build-wise, Pox is getting scary.
I can relate. As I said during the session, it was like, this is the first time...
Kika's always scary.
Kika's just been scary because of what she represents, but this was, like, the first mechanical combat where it's like, okay, she has all of her stuff and her abilities active, all of her extra attacks, she's got her modifiers ready.
No, I wasn't talking about Kika represents. I know what that build is.
Yeah, but I needed freaking 9 levels to get there.
Yeah, that's Warlocks for you.
Yeah, that's what Warlock... I keep saying this, Warlocks I cannot recommend for early game. They're just not great.
Nope.
God, they're a good class, but you need such a run-up for them.
you need to commit.
Yeah. Yeah, now finally at level 9, we had a combat encounter where I was like, this is how Kika was meant to be. A weapon melee spellcaster.
I do think all of us were like peak this combat.
Yes, I think everyone was
working
working
we really
very
got to do our shit.
Yeah.
You did also crit a lot.
Did also crit a lot. Did make a difference.
My legacy of crits from the session before.
Did make a difference.
But I feel like sometimes, this is superstition, but I feel like sometimes the dice reward you for playing your character correctly.
Yeah.
Sometimes they punish you for playing your character correctly.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that as well.
The fact that every time I pretend to be someone I'm not, I roll a nat 20 and get a 30 deception should be... I'm very aware Pox is scary, that's why I'm taking shots at you now. Come get me, I've got as much health as Widdick.
Now that's upsetting.
I know, right?
Have you though? Because Widdick has removed that sorcerer level. Which means he
Widdick has surpassed me, but I was like...
Yeah.
I mean, definitely in the off-tank... Like...
Yeah, that's where those... I mean, that's where Blood Hunters fall, because they have the same hit die as Rangers.
Yeah.
They do sort of fall in that... Well, it's
a D10
it's melee combatant D20, really. D20?
Widdick and Pox with comparable health constantly. That's because Widdick rolled kind of average HP every time, and I got max HP 4 level ups in a row.
Insulting on a Blood Hunter. Actually insulting.
Because, like, that's the thing, me and you know as the two who play Blood Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Blood Hunters are great, but they go down hard. Because they do damage to themselves, and as well as other people doing damage to them. So a Blood Hunter with a lot of HP.
Yep. I mean, Tal's my first triple-digit character, and my god.
A Blood Hunter spec like a rogue with high HP.
Yeah, because that's like that's like the rogue's top floor of
it's a rogue without being a glass cannon.
Yeah, because the rogues only get their teeny dice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's switching to that D6 dice did hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
I had to live with that for a whole campaign and regularly rolled the lowest. And my DM would pity let me have the average.
Yeah, I do have a wizard now, so I have touched that life briefly. But going from it's a real fall from grace from glory.
The fact that you played a high HP character as your first character.
Of course I did, because that's what I do in any RPG.
Yeah, so for me, it's a treat.
Like, well, HP, con, strength. I want to be as unkillable as possible.
I'm always
a
DPS person. I'm always just like, I want to see big damage numbers on the enemy, and then the game's like, okay, but that means they can do big damage numbers to you, and I go, what?
Huh?
So yeah.
No, my instinct is always, in any RPG, if I don't know what I'm doing, I'm taking points in health. So Glory being like, first time I got a feat on Glory, I was like, tough. Let's go. Because like, it's like I'm just more likely to make a mistake, and so I just want more of a buffer so that mistake doesn't kill me.
Yeah. Which is
and
fair.
then, like, as I'm getting more into D&D and playing more characters, and I'm getting more chill with the idea they might die.
Yeah.
I'm more like, YOLO, kill me.
Again, that's why a lot of shenaniganry.
What am I gonna do? Make another character?
Shenaniganry didn't really occur a lot with Delmara, because in the back of my brain I was like, if I'm caught alone, I die. That was the end of the sentence. So I was just like, but you have like a plus 12 modifier, and I was like, yeah, but if I get caught, I'm dead. I don't want to die.
Nah, if I die, I die. If Pox dies, they die. For a long time, in the start of this campaign, Pox dying was such a reality to me because you guys didn't know that they were a changeling. I was like, literally every week to death that I was close to death, I was like, if I die, like, the change shape on the body will go, because that's the only thing that can get rid of, other than like a moonbeam, that's the only thing that gets rid of a changeling's change shape.
Right.
Is dying. So I was like, if Pox dies before they find out, that body's just gonna become a different person.
Yeah, and then that will have the opposite effect, because then we'll be like, oh, Posy's been taken by somebody, and it's gonna be like, no.
I was like, it's gonna be that, or it's gonna be the thing of like, if people do know about like the Changeling War and stuff like that, it'll be like, oh, maybe she was like infiltrating us. Like, basically, she wouldn't be there to defend herself.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's have a little read of what's going on. An idea.
Yeah, there's a whole discussion happening in chat.
So I have an idea. You know how the spell Darkness can be covered up by covering the spell-casted item. What if I cast Darkness on a stone in a ring while having dark vision that should allow me to see but enemies can't, making me able to move through open spaces while basically invisible besides a large ominous dark shadow around me? Technically, I could stealth kill even when right in front of the enemy and make sure there is no darkness in the way. Turn the stone around to cover it up.
Das is beating me.
Das is already there answering all of that.
Like, I feel like I'm in that that round of actually.
Yeah, actually, dark vision cannot see through darkness.
Actually, the spell Darkness is a 20-foot radius sphere. Oh my god, Blue. Make some noise this week. I haven't watched it all the way through, but it has Brennan and Oscar on it.
Ooh.
Like, I've seen the first prompt, and this is Das, specifically you should watch at least the first 5 minutes of the new Make Some Noise, because Brennan gets the prompt, the ghost of St. Patrick's Day's past. And it's fucking hilarious.
Oh no. Let's see, Darkness range is a 60-foot range to cast it, but the sphere itself is a 15-foot radius sphere.
Oh no. And if you've watched Unsleeping City, you know that Brennan's Irish accent is like, okay. Didn't see a time limit on it? It does, yeah. You have to concentrate.
Yes, it is concentration, so you have to remain focused on it.
There's something there, but it
does, yeah, it is there, because yes, you can, if you cover up the object that the darkness is cast from, it does block it, so you could technically put it on something and then put that item in a bag to get rid of it. But yes, there is only one ability, there's only one sort of natural ability, which is the Warlock ability, which Kika has.
Which is Sight, right? Or Devil Sight.
Devil Sight. Fun fact, my little Fae combat companion has 3 modes, and you pick the mode when you summon it, essentially. So for the fight I was in, I chose it to go into Fuming mode, which basically meant that it always had advantage on its attacks after it did a blink. But one of the other things that it could do instead of that one is it can cast darkness. And Kika can see through darkness.
Very nice.
It's a good
What invocations does Kika have? She has the minor illusion.
Yeah, I'll have to
Devil's Sight.
open up the character sheets.
How many does she have? 3? 4?
I think it's 3 at this level. Let me double check. I have got a reskinned one, I will say that.
Oh, okay.
Because we saw one, it was one of those ones.
You don't have to open it. I was just thinking because obviously I played Marin, and I was like, I wonder how many evocations they have in common.
Let's have a look, see. Fate Present.
Brennan also got the prompt for his Waluigi Wee Wenham Wee Welligan. Yes!
No! Do you have to look at it for it to count as concentrating? No. Okay, let's see. So, Evocations, Eldritch Sight, Misty Visions, which is the detect magic. Misty Visions is you can cast Silent Image without expanding spell slots. Devil's Sight, obviously you can see through darkness. Eldritch Sight, which is you can cast detect magic at will. And Cloak of Stars, which is the reskinned one. I believe it was Cloak of Flies or something, and we were like, flies?
Yeah, it's like
no.
Cloak of Locusts or something.
Yeah,
like
we're
that.
like, nah, it was Cloak of Stars. It was basically it was Cloak of Flies, which like gives you advantage on intimidation. We've reskinned it of Cloak of Stars, gives you advantage on persuasion instead.
Very nice, yeah.
I believe off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember Marin's. I had all the utility ones basically. It was like Devil's Sight, the one that lets you read all writing. I can't remember, but Marin wasn't very high level anyway. Yeah, it's just the idea of Kika and Marin having things in common is very funny to me.
Well, again, it's like
the spectrum of Warlockism.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I was like, Warlock is one of the most widely customizable classes. It's just not low-level friendly because you don't have those customizations yet.
Nope. You get evocations pretty quick, though. I will say that for it. Yeah, it's a fun one. I literally never used Darkness on Glory, even though I had it. Because the thing was with Glory, there was literally, I think if I was making Glory now, with all the material for D&D that's come out since, I would use a different ancestry for her. Like Tiefling ancestry.
Yeah.
Because those came out, obviously,
Afterwards.
way after I made Glory.
Yeah.
But, it didn't make sense for a melee fighter who can't see through magical darkness to cast it. Right? Like, I could cast it, but then I couldn't do anything in it. Oh, excuse me. I've once again done that thing where I saved so many topics for this stream so that me and Blue could talk, and I've forgotten all of them.
I mean, we've already been speaking about D&D for half an hour.
Yeah, that's generally how this goes. Oh, we got Okar this week, haven't we?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think so.
Believe it.
Please continue to discuss Bob. We always talk about Bob. Okar hype.
Yeah, all-seeing glasses. You could do, I'm sure somebody has had true sight enchanted glasses. I'm sure that's a thing that exists.
For sure.
So it seems like a very good thing to make. It's a lot in Endgame. A lot of very high-level creatures have it innately.
Yeah. Okart's accelerating. Things be happening.
Boy, they weren't kidding. They do stop coming and they don't stop coming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Curls, be ready for Friday because Blue said yes to playing a way out.
Yes. We should probably. We haven't established a time, but we will closer, or probably on Friday. Work out what time we're going to do it.
Me and Naren finished It Takes Two, and oh my god, it was so good. But I've already played A Way Out, so there's kind of no point me. It deserves an unknowing audience. And like those games are that studio's games are such good bonding experience. It's such a good bonding experience that I'm like, share it round.
pick a friend instead of being like, you know, I guess instead of like me and Spook playing it, it's like pick someone on the Discord that you don't talk to very regularly.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. You and Spook should play It Takes Two though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess It Takes Two is a bit different because it's literally a couple.
Yes. Me and Aaron had a great time with it. Oh my god. It was very, very good. It's one of those games where everywhere you look, there's detail. Like, to reading the spines of books to, like, just there's so much. It's so lovingly made, and like every single, and especially for a game that changes its core mechanics every level. It's amazing how well they all work. It's like so clear they built the game around the idea of like, what is fun? And if anything wasn't fun, they got rid of it.
Good, excellent.
Apart from chess, me and Aaron did play chess and we took it very seriously.
You two would.
We kept roasting the hell out of the main characters too. Everyone should roast the shit out of those two characters. They are there to be mocked, I feel.
I mean, they're also very bad people, really.
They are terrible, yeah. They're complicated people, I'll say that.
Yeah, I guess flawed. Yeah, not bad, flawed.
No, it was very funny. I'll share the story because it will make Naren laugh. Wherever Naren is we saw the chessboard appear, and I was like, oh hell yes, let's go. And we got one like turn in, and I had the dawning realization in my head of like, I came in with a vague understanding of how to play chess, and I was talking big game, and it became very apparent within the first two moves that Nerin not only knew how to play chess, but knew how to play chess very well. I was like, oh no. But I had to like play it off. like, oh yeah, I also know what I'm doing here. Got slaughtered. To be fair, I think because we played like a quick match, which had a really short time limit on it, I think Naren won by 1 point, but I was like, no, you should have. that was a stomp. I was just moving pieces, and you knew what you were doing. Yes, to which I told her that I was in chess club in middle school.
I was also in chess club, but I was bad.
You were in chess club?
Yeah, that was a chess club. Me and a friend joined it. I was bad at chess. I think it was more one of those things where me and my friend wanted something to do at lunch. Yeah,
I could not be in chess club because I was too busy making props for theatre.
You see, that's the thing. Very much to my my chagrin, you know, my God, how different would my life be? We didn't really have like a dedicated drama club at our school. Drama was something that was taught, and whenever the annual house contest came up, it's called the Eisteddfod, but I don't know if everybody knows what Eisteddfod is.
No, that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, it was called Eisteddfod, but yeah, it was just the annual. Houses compete. There would always be a play, but that was it. But there wasn't outside of that, and that always happened sort of about January, February time at the start of the year. But once that was over, throughout the rest of the year, it's like, nah, there wasn't really a drama club. So when it came to like after school and like lunch things, it was like, I don't know what to frickin' do.
Yeah, it kind of changed when I got to secondary school because that was very much, there was only really sports clubs. But in middle school, I was in so many clubs. I don't know, as someone who is chronically tired, how I did the amount of shit that I did is because I was in guides, I did karate, I did swimming twice a week, and then like in school, I did like I was in the plays. I also did all the prop making at basically my lunches. I would just go and build props and make costumes and things, and then stage management as well when it was actually the show was on. And then I did a thing called Gardening Club, which was a long story, but basically involved clearing out a huge section of the school field and like helping preserve the wildlife that was there.
Yeah.
And oh god, there was more than that. But like I'm like, how did I have the energy for that?
God, I can relate to that so hard. I also did so many clubs. I did chess club. Like at one point, I signed up to do the Latin club. I signed up for that.
Mad.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, on top of the fact that I was already in my class, I was doing German. In our class, it was German or French, and you had either. But those who did well enough at German could optionally sign up for French as well. So I was in the French club, and then people who did really well, it was literally smaller and smaller. People who did really well at German and French could then also sign up for the Latin club. So the groups kept getting smaller and smaller, and I got into Latin, but I did not keep that up because my god. Yeah, I was definitely also in an IT.
You've officially studied more Latin than me. That doesn't feel right.
I've forgotten all of it. I mean, they taught us how to string a sentence together, but I don't remember how to do it now.
I was 1 grade too low to be in Latin.
Yeah, I did well at my language and then promptly dropped all of them.
Yeah.
While I did okay at them, it was just not something I wanted to carry on with.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, I went to the IT club, and unsurprisingly, I was also in the science club.
Yes. In like second, I was like okay at most things, apart from math. Apart from math, I was okay at most things. I was like the way I explained it to people is like I was the worst person in the top highest set. So I was in the highest set and I couldn't go down a set, but I was definitely like in the mid to low. Apart from history and English, which obviously is my thing. But yeah, no. If you were A star in English, maths, and science, you could do Latin at my school. But I was not that smart. Maths. Could never do math.
No, can't do maths. Also, have a sip. We've been asked
yes,
to
I've already done it.
Take some water.
I saw it come up. But, yeah.
So,
and how different our lives are now.
Yeah. Okay, like I said, Lord knows how different my life would be if I could actually do the theatre that clearly I should have been destined to do.
Yeah,
there was no theatre club, and I was forbidden to take drama as one of my GCSEs, and Lord knows, clearly that must have been my calling, and I was not permitted. God knew I would be too strong.
So it nerfed you, yeah.
God always nerfs me. God nerfs me for I am too powerful.
I'm with Frog on this one. You can still do it. I stopped doing all theatre in secondary school because when I say I was anxious, I would, if you know the John Mulaney thing where it's like he was of that age where if you looked at him he would die.
Yeah.
I very much had that, and also there was a perception. Everyone, please just bear with my teenage self for a second. There was a perception at my secondary school that drama was what you picked if you weren't very smart and you wanted an easy one.
Yeah, that was the vibe in my school. I think that was why my parents forbid me to have it, because they were like, everybody in our school said it was a DOS subject. That was what it was referred to as. Drama is the DOS subject, and so I was not allowed to take it because they were like, no, you're going to study something proper. And I was like,
See, I did that to myself. I was like, I'm smart enough that I shouldn't take it, you know? And also, again, if I had been perceived at that age, I would have fully died. The idea of having to do a solo monologue performance would have made me expire on the spot.
See, I would, because my anxiety, I feel, is like worse now than when I was in school. I almost wonder if I had taken drama or studied drama that I would be better now, because I would be used to being in groups and being on stage. Whereas now is my worst point of because again, the amateur drama clubs exist. I would not dream of going to one on my own. I'd need someone to go with me because I'm terrified.
I definitely preferred the backstage, stage management-y stuff than being on stage. I was not a very good actor, and I was not a very good singer, but I loved building props. I loved telling people what to do backstage. I did not like being in charge of children, but like, I liked being the one who had the script, and if people had forgotten the script, I could be like, here's your cues, or like reading lines for people when they were practicing, like all the like backstage stuff I really loved. Was never trusted with lights though.
No, I imagine not.
I was never trusted with lights or sound. But yeah, then I got to secondary school and they did drama as a subject, but yeah, didn't have a theatre department.
Yeah. I remember always being so fascinated by the big thing, because when the Eisteddfod was in place, it was like it was a proper event. So they would literally like construct and extend the actual stage further out so that it was larger for all of the performances.
Yes, that's what we did as well. Yeah.
So there was the normal stage in the hall, but every year for the Eisteddfod it would be constructed further out, big proper metal like bars and scaffolding. But there would also be the base station at the back of the room where all the electronics would be hooked up, so the people who are obviously in charge of lights and music cues would be there. And I remember being so fascinated by both. If I was near the front, I would just be staring at like the stage and things like that. But if I was near the back, I would be looking at the people manning the electronics booth. And you know, in my kid brain was always just like, want to push buttons and turn lights on.
What's this? What's this?
Yes, what does this do? Want to do things.
Yeah, man. I remember putting that stage up. God, I can hear the noise in my head of the clanging of people walking on it. The, scaffolding with some, like, fake turf on top.
Oh, we didn't even have that. Ours was just the wooden...
Yeah, it was like wooden boards, like a carpet, like a green carpet.
Ours wasn't carpeted, it was literally just wooden boards. So I remember the sort of clomp sound that people's shoes would make on the boards.
It's like modular as well.
Yeah,
so it's not
I remember like when we were sort of like in our later years, because we were the older students, it was again that sort of degree of, because you're older students, you'd sort of allow... You have, not even that, it was because when you're older students, you are given a little degree of like, teachers do sort of somewhat let you get about your business, and you can kind of boss younger kids around. So whenever Eisteddfod time was happening and the stage had been constructed, you weren't supposed to be in the hall, but sometimes we would be in the hall at lunchtimes. That would just be our hangout spot. So we would just like vibe on the stage, like with all our bags in a pile. Some people would play the piano, and like literally little 7 years and 8 year kids would...
Pile.
Yeah, the bag pile. It has to have a bag pile. And little 7 years, 8 years and 7 years would walk in, and we'd be like, you're not supposed to be here at lunchtime. And they'd be like, sorry. And they turn and walk out, and we'd be like, we're also supposed to be in here.
That was, I had two different instances of that. But in middle school, because when we did theatre, we built props in the science labs because it was the biggest room in the school. So I remember, God, when we were building those coffins, Jesus, we had to build 2 full-size coffins out of cardboard, paper mache, and some other stuff that needed to stand up on stage and then fall. And it also had to have a lid that someone needed to like open and come out of. That took so long. So we needed the big space for that, but also we would it was lunches after school, and then some Saturdays as we got closer to the show, we would have the main hall with the stage in it, like what you had, and we would be in that, and it was exactly the same thing. Because, also, the closer it got to the show, if the show wasn't going, rehearsals weren't going well, we would sometimes, drop a lesson here or there to go and rehearse.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Whenever I said the time got closer and closer, sometimes you would literally be, because literally the head of the house, you know, the head of the house would be in charge of obviously manning you for the Eisteddfod, and it was the only time of year that they took precedence. So if the head of the house literally wrote you an Eisteddfod note to be like, you have to be practicing Eisteddfod stuff instead of class, you could get out of class with that note.
Yep.
You'd be like, my head needs me to do choir, or my head needs me to do, you know, the play or whatever.
Oh my god, I also did choir. I missed that out.
Yeah, I did Eisteddfod. Yeah, because for us, Eisteddfod was the arts, quote unquote. So there was a choir, there was a vocal group, there was a solo speech. I can't remember the proper term for it now.
Monologue thing.
Yeah, it was kind of like a monologue. Spoken word category, and then obviously the play. And if you were in any of those, or if you were in the play was always the big one, because obviously it needed the most prep. So the play would get you out of the most stuff.
Yeah, there's the most components needed.
Yeah, like actors obviously tended to get more precedent in that they needed rehearsal time, whereas stage crew, like actors could go through rehearsals without the stage crew sometimes. So the stage crew would sometimes also be like, oh, I'm part of the stage crew, so I got to go to this rehearsal. So yeah.
It was great for me because for the first 3 years I was in it, I was such a minor bit part in like the first scene that they kept me in for all the backstage stuff. So I would be in rehearsal with the script, essentially doing like directorial notes of like when people needed to go on and off on because I was one of the rare people who would bring a paper script. So I would take notes of like who needed to be on and off, because I had a pretty big group of friends who were all in it. So it was like they all needed me to like write down when they needed to go on and off, basically. But I got out of so much stuff because they just needed me to be present.
Right, I see. See, in our school it was the thing in that like big major roles were like always given to older students. Like it wasn't even like up for discussion, which I remember as a younger student really upset me, because I was like, I wanted to be in drama and I wanted to do big roles, but it was just like, no, it has to go to the big student, the big students had to have the big roles. By the time it came to sort of like the time when I was considered an older student, I was not coping well with my studies. I had gone in year 7, I'd gone from like top of the class to like mid-low. And
year 7 really be like that.
Yeah, and I couldn't keep up. You know, I mean, like I had to. I mean, I failed all of my A levels, but I had to drop one of them to start with. I was one of only like 6 people in the whole year that were only doing 3 when everyone else was doing 4. So when Eisteddfod came up and they were like, "Hey, time to do play," I was like, "I do not have time for play. I cannot keep up with my work." I was very stressed. Mood. So as a little kid, I always wanted a major role in the play, and I never got one because
I lived the glory that you didn't, but it went badly. I ended up with a part in the show for the coffins before. I had a part that was my turn to have a big part, but again, I couldn't act really, and I couldn't sing. So that we generally did. This was the first time we'd done like a full musical adjacent thing, and like it really limited the parts I could go for. But I ended up with essentially a Sherlock Holmes-esque, like the person who comes in the second act and is like, "What's going on here?" Like the sane one after all the madness, basically. Which is, I've been typecast my entire life as the sensible one. But like, I literally had the Deerstalker, the full like Sherlock Holmes cape, like full Sherlock Holmes cosplay. And it was basically my job to come in the second act and be like, ruin everything for everyone. Basically, stop the party. to be the Debbie Downer. I know everyone kept getting the pronouns wrong because it was a male part, but I used she, her, so no one ever knew. So it was just random what they said in any given scene. Gender fluid icon.
Yep. Back in the day before pronouns were even a thing, let's be real.
No, we were still getting them wrong. But it was so... And the thing was with me... You might not be able to tell it now, but I was incredibly quiet. Like, incredibly quiet. So when I spoke, I didn't really have a lot of volume. It was all this, very quiet. And they straight up could not hear me.
Wow.
Every single show, they were like, okay, we're going over notes from the show. Hey, we need you to be so much louder. Like, so much. I'm like, I feel like I'm already yelling, and they're like, yell more. To the point where I remember the last day we had 2 shows, and I was literally like, not fully been like, okay, well then I guess I just can't act. I just have to yell. Oh, it was so funny. But the thing was that with that is like, because I was still doing backstage for like the first act, and then like there's a big section where I disappear and then I come back right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I still got to do all the backstage stuff, but every time I was backstage, I was like, I don't want to go back on.
Aww.
I'd much rather just be back here. I would literally come into shows with like, I would literally show up to the show and it'd be like, I've got some snacks, which for me was like a packet of hula hoops and like a few leftover biscuits, and a bunch of coloring books and coloring pencils for like the really young first years, so that they would be quiet backstage. Aww. Because there was no way to dampen audio, so we had to be really quiet. And I would literally be like so excited. And my big paper script. Love that shit. Hated being on stage. That was the one thing I loved about band and marching band, because Friday we would get practice out for the football game that night. Yeah. Any club that got you out of shit.
Yep.
Oh my god, another thing I did, obviously, I can't believe I forgot this one, is I worked in the library.
Oh, I also did library.
I worked breaks, lunch, and after school library in every school I went to. And that also would get me out of classes. And I also ran... Jesus, I keep remembering shit I did. I also ran the award ceremony for a book competition that my local like county ran, but we would hold the award ceremony. So because I'd done some stage management, I ended up running the teams for that as well. Because I don't know, I'm one of those people, I hate being in charge, but I also, if no one else is going to take charge, I have to. You know? Mm-hmm. It's like, if no one else is going to call shots, I'm going to call shots, because I'm not going to just stand here. You know? I can't stand the idea that it's going to be disorganized, so I will organize it if no one else is gonna. Which meant I ended up doing a lot of shit. But I used to get pulled out of stuff for library as well, because my librarian and I were like just friends. And every time they would get an author in to talk to one of the year groups, she would pull me from lesson to go and listen to them talk, because she knew that I wanted to be a writer.
Aww.
So it was like, she would do it on the pretense that I was helping organize the arrival of the author. And because she knew I was doing like solidly okay in my lessons, she was like, no, I'll pull you out and you can come listen to like fucking Jacqueline Wilson, Darren Brown.
Whoa, really? What
yeah,
the fuck?
oh yeah. God, yeah, I've met some authors, man. And because I was like pretty cozy with my librarian, like afterwards when all the kids had left, I would like stay there and have a chat and things.
Wow.
And also I was like an incredibly normal child. I spoke like an adult from the age of 14. So. Oh my god, that's so cool, Frog. When I was 11 or 12 or so, my best friend and I at the time got into a puppet making class on lunch. What ended up happening is I wrote a full script for a puppet show and ended up directing it for the Year 6 leaving concert.
Wow.
Yeah, I truly, as I'm sitting here, I'm remembering more and more stuff I did in school. I've got some stories, man. I've met some authors. I designed and built stuff for a museum near where I grew up. Like, It's basically in any of the schools I went to, if there was like an extracurricular thing, I was on it. If it wasn't sport related, I was on it.
Yeah, I think our school was very much more sport focused. The Eisteddfod was like the annual, oh, we're going to celebrate the arts, but the entire time of the year, there was always something sport related going on. And it was also the one thing that our house was good at, because very infamously when it came to the Eisteddfod, our house always did the worst, just year in, year out, historically. Didn't do well. It wasn't even that we were bad. It was just like we were literally, the joke was, because obviously it was peak Harry Potter time, was that we were the Hufflepuff of the school. It was just like, we're there.
Of course, you were in the metaphorical Hufflepuff.
Yes, it makes sense. It's like we're there, but we were good at sports. But sports was not my cup of tea, so it was like, hey, every year we're always winning the sports, and I was like, I do not care.
It is so typical, because basically while I was at secondary school, this was my year was the first year they had houses, so like the reputation of the houses changed, and then it has been the same ever since when I left, basically. Like they were establishing identities. But in the first few years, the reputation was there was 3 houses. There was the metaphorical Hufflepuff house. We're not going to include them. But the two main ones that fought, one of them was much bigger, and in the early years was much better at sports, but was dumb as rocks. And then there was my house, which had all the people who did the smart, extracurricular, crazy projects, like me and my friends. But what would happen was we would get no cred for any of the cool stuff that we did, because the sports house would get all the credit. Because they would have like win a tournament, like a rugby tournament or something, and it'd be like the whole school was on about it. And we like did projects in association with the local like race car team, and we would get sweet FA.
Wow.
Like we did some crazy projects and we would get nothing. Nada. But then over time things changed and my house became the sports house, and the other houses fell away. But yeah, man. And also like well, I should put this in perspective. My entire friend group, other than me, were either head of their house or deputy head of their house. And the reason why I wasn't is because the election came up and people asked if I would run it, and I said, no, that sounds like too much work.
That's it. In our thing, our head of house was a teacher.
See, we had that as well, but we had student head of house, which run every year.
Yeah, we didn't really have a student head of house. We had the prefects, and we had the head boy and a head girl.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had head boy, head girl per house.
Ours wasn't really per house.
Yeah. But yeah, all my friends were either head girl or deputy head girl. It was one thing, like, my group of friends would all be in the outside amphitheatre bit. Yes, we had an amphitheatre.
Wow.
And we didn't use it. It was just a thing that was part of the build that... Why? But we would all be out there, and it was like, because they had different ties. So all of us had stripy ties, but they had the block metallic color of the house, they were. So all of my house, head of house, would have like solid gold, like metallic gold ties. So like it would be our massive group loitering in the outside bit by the doors, and it would just be like me and then all my friends with their like cool ties just hanging around.
Yeah.
And everyone would be like, oh, they're over, like all the heads of house all hang out together, and it would be like a whole thing of like, you know. And I was there.
I wonder who did get head boy and head girl now, because I was very much one of those people that like really wanted it. There were quite a few people, and it was definitely another one of those precursor things of like, well, to even be considered, you got to get prefect. And I did get prefect, so I was part of like I can't remember how many there were per house per year, but there was a set amount of how many they could have.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember, so out of the prefects it was then a choice of like who was the head boy and who was the head girl, but because obviously I absolutely failed my A-levels, I didn't get into the last year because the last year was the only year you could qualify for it, so
Yeah.
I do wonder now who got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing about me not doing it, because it was the first time they'd ever had it, because again, my year was the first year to have houses. All of the head boys and head girls were in the what's it called, prospectus. They did like a special photo shoot, and they are still the people in the prospectus.
Oh,
am I in there? No. I escaped the fate of being eternally in my school's propaganda media.
Hello, Cookie.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend. You guys had houses, can't relate. I grew up in a Mean Girls school. Oh, don't get me wrong. There were plenty of Mean Girls.
I think we've talked before about how my school was playing Game of Thrones.
Oh, God.
It was brutal. I'm printing a ring. Hell yeah.
Ooh.
First test. Hell yeah. But yeah, this was a detour in our normal conversation.
Talking about our school life. Print it out of titanium. Holy hell, metal printing? That's cool as heck.
Wait, titanium, wait up, this is important. Hit the brakes on Das there.
I didn't know you could 3D print in metal.
Ooh. No one tell my dad. My dad spent all of today, like, frustrated because he's been trying to fix a chainsaw for the last week and a half.
Yeah,
and
that
today
sounds like
he had to finally admit defeat on this chainsaw, and he's been sulking ever since.
Oh no!
It's not his. It's like literally anything with an engine. Anyone who knows my dad will be like, "Hey, this thing I have with an engine's broken. Can you fix it?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, sure." I ain't got shit to do. But yeah, he'd been trying to fix this chainsaw for a friend of his and waiting for these parts to come in. And they came in and he replaced all of them, and it still didn't work.
Aww.
And he was so mad.
Titanium, copper, stone, gold, stainless steel, even rubber. Wow.
It smells like it would smell bad.
Yeah, molten rubber probably would smell.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I've printed a piston for a chainsaw.
Wow.
Don't tell my dad.
Don't tell him.
Let him live in ignorance.
It's easier.
It's easier. The amount of money my dad would spend. Can you imagine? My dad had the terrifying thing today of starting all his bikes to see if they all started. He hasn't used them in a hot minute. You know when you go start the car because you haven't started it in a second?
Yeah.
Yep. It's always a little bit scarier with his bikes because they're a bit temperamental. any engine, I'm saying this as someone who comes from a family of them. Any engineer who owns motorbikes, those motorbikes run.
They sure do.
They sure do run, because they cannot help taking them apart for any reason on the slightest inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell Mr. Curls' dad.
We've said this before, but we are under a pact that our fathers should never meet.
They can never meet.
Our fathers can never
meet. I've told my dad this before, and he found it very funny. The universe will explode if mine and Blue's dads meet. We're not joking. It will happen.
They'll probably invent some sort of hover bike before it explodes, but
yeah,
it will explode.
Oh yeah, it will explode. They will build something monstrous that in concept is incredible, but there is no way it works. And it's all held together with no nails.
Oh yeah. Where we're going, we don't need nails.
They're just like, it's the most efficient solution.
Tomorrow I'll start work on our dear friend. Send progress pics. I want to see. Also, feline.
Kitty.
Hello, baby. I have a video that I really wanted to send you, but Discord's data limit.
Too weak.
Yeah, it was too weak, which was a very cute 30-second video of Miss Madam here being sat on my lap in that pose when she, that you've seen it when she's just on her back and just basically gone totally limp and is just literally just like in heaven.
I'd love that for her. Put the nails in, that's just excess weight. Yeah, see? It limits its streamlinedness.
Aerodynamic.
God knows what they would build. God knows.
That's a horrifying thought.
It's genuinely a little scary. They're very similar, but they have slightly different engineering specialties, and that is horrifying.
Yeah, that's why it's like, well, they can't meet because together they'll counter their own weaknesses.
They make Maurice from Beauty and the Beast.
They do! They 100% do. I mean, you guys have made that comparison to my dad before.
Yes, I have. But I think truly...
I think one time we were playing D&D, and midway through the session, my dad just walked into the room and was like, look at what I've built! And I was like, Dad.
Yes, I
Dad.
remember. Crazy old Maurice, eh?
Your claws are getting rather big, madam. Might have to have a clip. Little clippy.
Can I tell chat, hey chat, I'm so excited for Fair Flowers tomorrow.
Oh! When are you gonna watch it? When does it go live?
I mean, you know when I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, which is why I changed question. When does it go live?
Midnight tomorrow.
Right, okay.
So, the beginning of Thursday. Look, when the next time is all in the epistolary and rumour phase, you know shit goes down.
You okay, child? What are you doing? You've sort of tilted yourself backwards so you're cuddling my dragon. Ow, let me help you up. There you go. You got yourself a little bit confused there, I think. You went to lean backwards and there was a dragon there and you were like, ugh!
Ah!
Go see Dad.
A foe.
Go see Dad.
Why do I have to have her?
She's your baby.
Onto the gremlin.
This one who's like, no, I hate her, and then when we're like, oh, you've got a bit of time off, shall we go on holiday? His immediate thought was like, we can't go on holiday, who's going to have to say it? Immediate.
Every time you don't know where Spook is in Blue's house, he is just somewhere holding Sadie. Just like in a corner, holding Sadie like a little baby.
Yeah, she gets scooped.
I could prep more for tomorrow, but I've exclusively prepped to set a mountain. I'm doing nothing else.
Good.
If I die, I die.
Yeah. This is, if anything, I feel like a few months ago we had the theme of like, self-awareness and stuff. Now the theme is, setting boundaries.
Yeah. I've said it once, I'll say it again. If I live through this, I'm doing a lore dump. For Pox, because I'm tired. But it's becoming more of an if. I could write more and explain more and prep it all, but fuck it. That's how I've run D&D for years.
Honestly, sometimes that's the best D&D.
I have gotten to a point. I used to really guilt myself for not prepping much. And I've realized, like, there is a certain amount of prep that you need to do, otherwise it's not good. But I'm really leaning into the, like, I'm just gonna lean with whatever the players throw at me is kind of just the way I run.
Yeah.
Like, I can't over prep. Unless I've got to physically, like, give you something and I need to write it. I can't, like, timestamp out what's going to happen. It's like, no, I just know what goes on in this area, and I will just respond to the players and throw stuff back at them, and that's just how I run.
I got to run for D&D on Friday.
Oh yeah, I told you not to tell me about that, so you could tell me about it now.
I remembered one of the topics. It was spur of the moment, which was, kind of how I'd prefaced it freaking like 6 months ago. That's how I prefaced it, was like, it's going to be super casual because the games will probably be very spur of the moment, and it was. We were just chilling. We were literally in the D&D world that I've made, because again, freaking, doing too much, I made a freaking whole D&D world in VR chat for us to play D&D in, and we were just chilling in it, because I'd made some updates to it, and I'd obviously asked people like, oh, can you check if these are working for me and stuff like that, and then we were just chilling, and then they were like, should we play D&D? And I looked at the world and I was like, yeah, I've got the bare minimum to run. There's character sheets, there's dice, I got a DM screen, I got maps, I got the bare minimum, we can go from there. Hell, I probably didn't even need maps, but I have maps. So I ran a game of D&D. I had no DMG, I had no player's handbook, it was all from memory. It literally just with like a pen, in VR, because that was the main thing I was testing that evening, was I'd implemented putting a pen in that could write in VR. So I had a pen behind my DM screen, literally scribbling on the table. Of just like, and literally making up of like, oh, I attacked the goblin. In my head I was like, what's a goblin? A goblin's like, I don't know, freaking 12 AC. I scribbled a 12 down. I was like, what they got? They got like 9 HP, 9. And things like that, and just write this, and that was it. And just absolutely basically freeballing it.
That's basically how I run Ghost Ship. It's how I ran when I ran in real life. Just completely like, just like what feels about right.
Yeah.
If you like consume, not even if you play a lot of D&D, if you consume enough D&D content, you can just do that.
Yeah. You
can just be like, what does that feel right? Yeah, it feels about right.
I mean,
what's the AC? Yeah, what's the AC? I literally have done what's the AC of a goblin before. Like, it'll just be like, yeah, it's probably about there.
Yeah, it's around 12. It's got around 9 HP. Again, I remember when Critical Role was a brand new thing, that was like being discovered by all of us, and we even said as a group, like, oh, we should all watch Critical Role because it's making us better D&D players. I don't think that's necessarily true anymore, but just D&D content in general, just because, much
if
like
anything, watch widely and little.
Yeah. It's just like with shock and horror, it's like any other kind of media. If you are into movies, watching a variety of movies will give you a wider understanding of, different elements of movies, be it like, action scenes or fighting scenes or plot or the things like that, composition, whatever. If you really like books, then obviously you've got to read a wide variety of books.
Read really widely.
So when you're really into D&D, when you consume a wide variety of D&D, you start to learn more about it. And then, and one of the key things you can learn is that, it's good to follow the rules, but also sometimes you need to know when to just throw the rulebook out the window.
I know what I do and I do what I want. Abria Iyengar.
What an icon.
What an icon. My laptop's named after her.
Yeah.
I have noticed that much like how I speak. Who was I talking to about this? I think Das. I'm a big, and you and I think I've spoken about this before, I'm a big speech mimicker. If I watch a lot of a certain type of content, I will mimic the speech pattern. Like I've been watching a lot of drag content, so I pick up a lot of the drag terms.
I knew years ago that I was a speech mimic because I did it back the first time I freaking met Dodger. I was talking with her for the entirety of the weekend, and then when I went back home, I had a partial American accent, and everyone was like, what the hell happened to you? And I was like, I don't know.
But I've noticed I'm also like this with DMs. You can tell, I can tell in myself who the last DM I watched before I run was. Like, I can tell that before I ran last week, I was watching Abria run. Just in the way I do things. Like, whoever the last one was, I've absorbed a bit of their style. I do think that of the DMs I've watched, I'm probably closer to Abria in terms of how I run than, like, Matt or Brennan or Jasmine, to be honest. Hey, go.
It's interesting. Like, I need to clarify this because I feel like what I'm going to say is immediately going to be taken out of context. But I'm sure Abria knows the rules very well. But out of all of those DMs, she seems to be the one who follows the rules the least.
Yes, she is the most rules chaotic. I
yes.
think. Brennan is, but not on purpose.
But Brennan sometimes gets his editions mixed up.
Exactly. Yeah. He gets 3rd edition and 5th edition mixed up quite a lot. But it's like Matt is, I think, the most rules hardline.
Yeah, yes. He knows a lot of the 5e rules.
He knows the rules, and he is very like
he tends to stick to them.
Can't do that.
Yeah, he tends to stick to them.
Brennan's in terms of rules, Brennan's like right in the middle, in that Brennan will go, oh yeah, but it's cool after a certain amount of cajoling. And then Abria's straight up like,
yeah, do whatever you want, baby.
You've already done the narration for it, so we'll go with it.
Yeah, yeah. Abria is definitely a DM who is just like, if you can explain to me how you do this, I'll let you do it.
Yeah. And I'm like... And then, like, Jasmine's between, like, Brennan and Matt. Like, a little bit more rules, but we'll leave it for good story.
I haven't fully DM'd in so long that I couldn't even begin to speculate which one I am, because, like, the session that I did on Friday was, like, the absolute extreme.
Yeah. But I think that stuff helps you grow. Like, I think, like, I became a better DM when I wasn't just running OCART, but I was also doing that real life thing where I didn't do any prep, I just made it up on the spot, without the books, without anything, and my laptop, and that's it. Like, the more... And then, like, running Ghost Ship also made me a better DM, because it was a different genre and a different style. Like, those little, not big steps out of your comfort zone, but little steps out of your DMing comfort zones are so good.
So I wouldn't say what I did was a big step, because, like I said, it was like...
No.
It was like 90% out of memory, because it was essentially the start of Lost Mines, which I myself have
That's what I did as well.
Yeah, it was the start of Lost Mines, which I have ran with the book in my hand probably about 3 or 4 times now. So to then do it a 5th time from memory was somewhat fairly easy. So even though the players were immediately like, right, we're just going to go completely off the beaten track, I was like, well, I'm kind of glad, because I knew where this was going.
Yeah. I can follow this in my head, yeah. I like to think I'm between Matt and Brennan, but like anything else I did into all types. I think that's 100% true.
Yeah.
I would put you between Matt and Brennan. And yeah, no, like, I think everyone should dip into... And that's not the triangle of things. That's just how those 3 DMs are with rules. Like, they all have very different approaches to story and leveling and all other aspects of DMing. That's just 3 pieces of 3 examples. But I think in terms of, like, how you handle rules and story, you're, like, between Matt and Brennan, I think. You're not as hardline as Matt, but you're, like, nearer Brennan, I think.
If I had a preference on where I think I would like to be, I would like to think that I'm somewhere nearer to Brennan, in that I'm not a full rules lawyer, but I do sort of occasionally like to be like, the rules are here for a reason.
Yes.
Need a little bit of rules.
I'm gonna be upfront. If you guys didn't know the rules as well as you do, and would and be like, but actually, to be fair, the rules are this, in OCART, I wouldn't enforce a damn thing.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, Frog. Like, why compare yourself? You have your own style of DMing. That's what I mean. Like, everyone's a bit like some people in some ways. It's like, this is just in terms of how much we
this is
deal
just
with rules.
Yeah, this is just like, comparing to bits of D&D media that we ourselves have consumed.
As a
not
comparison,
but it's not needed.
I'm not like I'm very like Abria in a lot of ways, but there's a lot of ways I differ from Abria. Like, it's not trying to replicate, it's taking little pieces from each one that you like, and then like doing your own thing elsewhere.
It's just like with like say an art style or a writing style, is that basically your quote unquote style will essentially be a weird amalgam of all the things you like, plus a little bit sprinkled in that is purely you yourself.
Just you. Yeah. I'm Brennan in that my friends can start screaming at me and bully me into a choice. You have not watched enough of Unsleeping City. Reddit's gonna eat your ass about this. Blue send that now.
Hey.
Oh, I can't even say what fight it is. The Broadway fight. That's what I'll call it.
Yeah.
They fully like, what the hell are you doing, dude? And Brennan just gleefully starts picking up D6.
Yeah, he does it. He literally does it just like almost for like a solid like 2 minutes. He just sits there and just goes one, a two, a three, and he's there.
Meanwhile, the table
is getting absolutely vile. Like so much profanity is being screamed at that man.
It's like, what if we just kicked Brennan's ass, then he couldn't roll?
And every time he's just like, oh, I'll just add another D6 on. And they're just like, no, fuck you. And he's like, cool, I'll put another D6 on. Ooh.
He does this thing, it becomes a bit in Crown of Candy where he goes, okay, now to roll damage, and he'll just tip out his dice bag onto his dice tray, but everyone just hears all the dice and it's just like, but it becomes a meme because he does it too much. Everyone's like, there he goes, he's looking for the D4s at the bottom again. So good. You're not even at the worst one that happens with that Blue in Unsleeping. The worst one, it's like the second to last combat of the campaign is like nearly full anarchy from the table. because Brennan starts giving the same energy back.
Oh. So it's like full enmity.
Brennan starts swearing it. Yeah, oh yeah, it's combat. Like on table combat.
Player v player combat between the players and the DM. Not through their characters, just through them as people.
If anyone is not going to watch D20 campaigns but wants to see a fun compilation, D20 themselves actually made one. It's called I'm the Bad Guys on YouTube. And it's just a compilation of Brennan leaning into his heel turn on the table. I wouldn't recommend watching it if you're going to watch any of the D20 campaigns, but if you're not and you just want to have a fun laugh at the players getting increasingly angry at Brennan, you're welcome.
Gonna kill that dog.
Yeah, that's where the thing comes from, is he's all the bad guys. Oh yeah, you've said I'm gonna kill that dog.
I'm gonna kill that dog. God. It's okay, buddy. Yeah. I can't really die.
The dog is fine. I'm made of light. Most of like the iconic D20, as much as Fantasy High gets the acclaim, most of the like iconic D20 moments are from Unsleeping City. The best Brennan like villain, as in like the DM as villain, are from Unsleeping City and Crown of Candy. But that's different because Crown of Candy, literally before the session starts, Brennan has in their like session 0, Brennan's like, I'm adversarial in this campaign. I'm not here to help you as a DM. I'm actually like malicious as a force at this table. I am here to kill you, and that is all I want. Wow.
I think I will forever have it burnt into my brain of me casually sitting on the sofa and like eating some crisps or something, and then literally just Brennan being like, knock knock, there's someone at the door, it's the villain, and I just went,
oh
what?
My god. I've literally been meaning to ask you, because I remember you putting on Twitter that I'd forgotten to mention that you choked on food during Unsleeping City, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was that bit. Knock knock, it's the villain. And it just like caught me so off guard.
You're having a fun time at this Christmas party, and then surprise.
Yeah, Christmas party. We're having a freaking Christmas party, and he just turns up, and I was like, excuse me?
Can I come in?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the fucking scene in season 2 of Sense8. Because that's what Whispers does!
Yep.
Because that's what Whispers does! It's fucking Christmas, and they're like, it's Christmas, what's he gonna do? Turn up? And he turns up, and everyone's like, what the shit?
Where's my bookmark that I was filing myself with?
That's what it reminded me of. That's why I spit take it, because it's you know it's Christmas. I was like, yeah, and the villain don't frickin' sleep. What, you think he celebrates the holidays with his family? Mr. Uber bad guy? You think I'm having a hot cup of cocoa by the fire?
Nah, he's got a cigar and calling it Christmas. Oh. Brennan's villains are so good.
I had that revelation now, just as I was describing it to you. I was like, that's why that scene hit me so hard. That's why it was the exact same feeling.
Sounds very crumble bottom of that villain. I don't think that villain's the most crumble of Brennan's character.
You would know.
No, maybe he is.
I'd say it's close.
It's up there.
It's close.
It's a slightly different brand.
Slightly different. It's
of like important guy.
Yeah, it's the similar sort of mobster vibe, but he doesn't have the same. At least from my perspective, because I haven't finished the season, he doesn't have that same physicality because he's not like big and muscular. You know, strength is not his strongest stat.
No. He's all the kind of sickening charisma, though.
Yes.
All the, like, really awful, malicious charisma.
Yep.
Yeah, in terms of... Brennan's villains are really good. There's a meme that all of Brennan's villains are either unknowable concepts or capitalism. And that's true.
It's very true. No, it's very true.
Apart from Season 1 of Fantasy High, which is, like, a little bit more...
I mean,
no, that's also capitalism.
No, that's also capitalism. No, I'm gonna call it. No, that's also capitalism. I was gonna say, I was like, I've only watched 2 seasons, and I'm like, they're both capitalism, the ones that I've seen.
Oh no, sorry. The exception is Crown of Candy.
Right.
Because everyone's a villain in Crown of Candy. It's harder to say what isn't a villain in Crown of Candy, because there's no such thing as everyone's a bad person, even the players in Crown of Candy. There's no, like, morality like that. And then you get some rare ones, like on Sleepy City Season 2, where the villain is both. Where there's multiple villains and they're both.
Yep. I'm also on that note, I'm begging you to watch Sense8. I'm dying, R2. You have to watch Sense8.
Everyone watch more Sense8.
Everybody needs to watch Sense8. I'm dying here, please.
Whispers is like the most. The most.
Yeah. Just please, I'm literally begging you.
I will say my favorite Brennan villain, I think it's from Season 2 of Unsleeping City. Yeah. I think it's my favorite Brennan villain.
Mm. Excited for that.
Oh, the ones yeah. It's a time. It's a time. Das knows some of it because I showed them the song that Sig Figs made for them.
First episode triggered me. You need to let me have time. I know we've said this several times. The first episode is a lot. I understand that. It's so much.
Heavy. We won't pretend it's not heavy.
No, it is. It is a lot.
But yeah, fuck. No day will erase you from the memory of time. That's fucking Season 2. I do love that every so often the D20 quotes bot will tweet something and I'll retweet it, and you guys just have to kind of look at it.
Yeah. It's like, those sure are words.
There's only a few that I will always retweet. It's no day will erase you from the memory of time. What is it? Was there something about that made that easy? Oh, anything that Baron says. He's got cack. You don't recognize me? I am your romance partner, Baron. Oh,
there. Get rid of it.
You can recite that entire scene, but I guarantee I would put money down on this table right now. When you and I sit on that sofa and watch that scene, you are going to be scared shitless.
Oh, I will be.
Because even though you can recite it, nothing prepares you for the context. Nothing. It's the context of how that how Baron happens is horrifying. On like a meta table level, not even on an in story level. I almost want to tell you guys. Okay, yeah, I will, because it's a meta thing.
Okay.
It's a meta thing, not a story thing. Basically, Baron is a flashback because Murph is not in the session before. Emily and Murph are away.
Mm-hmm.
So they come back for the next session, and Brandon's like, here's what happened to Riz during the events of the last episode, and it's fucking Baron. It's that scene.
Ooh.
It's horrifying. Everyone watch everything. The problem is I can't even be like, everyone watch X program anymore, because I have about 50 things I feel like everyone should watch.
Watch Dimension 20.
If you're not on Dropout, I don't know what to tell you. If you watch D&D content at all, obviously. But if you watch D&D content and you're not, yeah, it fucked me up when I got to that part. I knew and it still fucked me up. If you enjoy watching D&D content and you're not watching Dropout stuff, that's where the best stuff is. That's where the good kush is. I love what CR got going on, but the good kush is on Dropout.
Yeah. Look, CR is heavy, okay? At the time, it was the only D&D content available. Now there's a wider variety.
It was the only, high, well-produced D&D content around. Because you were streaming D&D before CR were. The community existed, but
the community existed before. Yeah,
yeah.
It was the first one to receive major public acclaim.
Oh, I should say, by the way, if anyone's upset with CR, don't say shit in chat. I'm catching up at the moment.
CR isn't heavy, it's fucking dense. Yeah, you got that right. It's very valid. It's very valid. But I mean, hey, if you're the kind of person who will look at the fucking Silmarillion and be like, that seems like a good time, then, watch Critical Role.
If you got issues, watch CR.
I mean, again, that's just D&D, bruh.
Yeah.
You got issues, play D&D.
Yeah, may I suggest D&D?
I literally saw one of those clickbaity articles today where it's like, D&D might actually be good for you, and I was like, every D&D player on the planet goes, yeah, we know.
we know.
Yeah, we know.
Dice Friends is also meant to be very good, yeah. Does more TTRPGs than just D&D, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Dropout doesn't just do D&D.
Yeah. Dropout does more stuff. I mean, I remember, but when Critical was the main thing, I started listening to the Adventure Zone, and for me that was my first sort of major venture into D&D that is not rules heavy, because my god, did they immediately throw the rulebook out the window in the first session, and it stayed outside.
I love that shit, though. That being said, I do want at some point this week, I have my Locust RPG over there. It's getting near October.
Oh.
I might take a look-see. A proper read-through. I need to check as well and see if that's the one where they sent me the PDF, because I have the player manual, and obviously I wouldn't be a player. I would be running it. Locust is... I will acknowledge Locust is very heavy. But that just makes me want to run it more. I say it every week, there's so much stuff I want to run. It's just finding time.
Oh, I like that freaking relatable.
Yep. but we're approaching. It's autumn as of tomorrow, so I'm at the height of my power.
Our Lady of the Underground is leaving us.
Yes. And I am excited. I want to take advantage of the surplus of energy that I will have. Because autumn is always when I have the energy to do shit. Because it's perfect temperature, the weather's great, and everything's cool looking. We didn't ask this ever, but I'm assuming by the fact that no one said shit, I'm assuming my audio's fine.
Oh yeah, we forgot
we meant to ask it at the top.
We forgot that immediately. Kels has a new mic, so we were unsure whether she needed adjusting or not.
Yeah, stream side. But I'm assuming, because no one said anything, my audio's fine. Thinking about my villains and all of them is so different. I enjoy that. Yeah. I got some villains. I haven't really run enough to have a lot of villains. I have a couple villains at Oak-Heart. I enjoy that. It's weird though, because I feel like it's so rare that you have like a villain. Well, that's completely false. Because I feel like in my games, I feel like, I don't know, I guess, obviously I have Edmund and Mara. But like, I don't feel like they're the villains. Whereas like, Blackith I can look at and be like, yeah, you're the villain. Right?
I feel like you got very skewed perspective on that. I think there's a couple people here will immediately disagree with you and you're like, they're not the villains. And we're like,
No. I mean like, emphasis on the.
Oh, the. Right, yeah.
Like, they are villains, for sure. But I feel like there's quite a few. They're the villains for this arc. Yeah, I guess. I guess you could say that the family are the villain of my campaign. Because I was like, but then I feel like, you know, Narissa was a villain, and I'm like, yeah, but they're all the same. They're all on the same graph in my DM folder. They're all under the assholes tab on D20. On Roll20, yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's what that is.
I would love to run like a. I mean, there is one of these I want to run. It's from the Plains of Dread book. But I was like, I would love to run like a Curse of Strahd-esque. Like, there's one like cartoonishly villain, you know. You're Calvaxus, you know. But there is one I want to run that's. I can't remember her name actually. It's one of the ones from the Ravenloft book.
I haven't actually read the Ravenloft book.
Oh, I love it. But I've talked your ear off about the Ravenloft book before, I think. Fucking love it. Yeah, what's the name of this? Hang on, let me find it. Did I lose it? I'm glad we've unpaused Kels's video. Yes, I'm now mobile.
The secret is that we realised that we could have had the camera this entire time. For some reason, Cos thought we couldn't. I don't know why you thought that.
It's whatever. Oh, what have I done with that then? Cannot find my copy of... I cannot find my copy of, whatchamacallit? Ravenloft.
Huh.
Gotta look it up. What was it? Dementlio. Dementlio? That's the one. It's the one that's like obviously a Mask of Red Death reference. It's like all structured around the masquerade that happens at the end of every week.
Right, okay.
That's the one I want to run. And if you don't like meet the criteria for the masquerade, you get like turned into dust. It's very good. It's all very like it's kind of grotesque French, like decadent France, like Rococo, like opulent and too much. Like the whole city, like the whole Dread Plane is one city, and this whole city is obsessed with this masquerade that happens. And is like dedicated to trying to be worthy of the Baroness's notice or whatever it is. It's very good.
Okay.
I'm trying to find it now. Yeah, this is it. Dementlio, I'm definitely saying that wrong, I should say, because it's French and I don't know how to speak it. Is one of the domains of Dread. It's primarily a port city and little else in the whole plane. Its denizens are ruled by the Dark Lord Duchess Sadria de Honor, a woman of grandeur and deceit above all else. She insists upon presenting the city as a grand illusion of refinement and decadence, while in reality the population scrimped to get by. Those that fail to uphold the facade of rich nobility are removed from society permanently. I want to run it so bad. I know exactly, like, the structure. It'd be a short campaign. I know exactly how it would run session to session. Just need an excuse. Yeah, and like, Blue, I'm gonna send you the image of the Duchess. Just tell me this isn't a me character, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it already sounds like it from the description.
This is the caption for this is that she's getting rid of someone who doesn't meet the dress code.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
very much my mom. She has special rules for how she gets rid of people, and it's horrifying, and well, love it. I had to basically last man stand the last dungeon of Stormblood. Let's say finishing it as a Dragoon felt good. I am desperate to get Pat into Heaven's Ward at the moment.
Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday.
Yeah. I just like, I'm very much enjoying Ninja Pat, but like, Ninja Patroclus is the Patroclus that exists in Iphignia's canon. Like, that's kind of his default state of being. So like, when he becomes a main character, it's kind of Heaven's Ward. Like, his path diverges from his canon in every other universe when I make him a Dark Knight, basically. Yeah, you guys have ideas for after Mara and Eddie, that's very true. Also, defeating Zentralus, that's a big ask. What comes after Blackith? I peace out from the party and go take a nap. I enjoy not being in prison for a while. I'd actually take time to enjoy it. No, I know where Okar's going. I know.
Of course you know, you're the DM.
If I didn't, it would be a problem.
Yeah. So after Blackheath,
I will say, knowing what I want to build towards as like the final thing in Oakheart, holding that in my chest is so much and has been from the beginning.
That's being a like, DM, boy.
It's like, I know where we're going, and you guys ain't gonna like it. But I'm so excited.
I mean, let's be honest. At least from my perspective as someone who is playing Tala, Oakheart doesn't 100% necessarily have good end strapped to it, especially not for Tala.
I want good end for Tala.
So do I.
I'll make it happen.
So do I, but she's one of my characters where I'm like, I really don't see it happening.
I'll find a way. Look, every character I've ever made in my life, I have been like, villain arc, not a good person, terrible. And you've been like, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, that's
so like,
just me.
I'm not gonna let this happen. Because it's revenge.
It's revenge. I cast good end upon you.
Yeah. You've done it to me so many. I wanted to be evil so many times.
No, not allowed. This is your chance to be evil, and you get to be evil to me.
Yeah, and I am.
I know. I endorse it.
Wait, you can have a good end while playing D&D? Apparently. My girl retired, had a daughter, and built a log cabin with her wife. I think she did pretty good.
Yeah, that definitely qualifies as a good end.
I would drag Tala into a happy ending, kicking and screaming, so help me God. That's my vibe too.
So you're the DM, so you can actually do that. You're just another player, you have no say.
I love the duality of being a DM, where you simultaneously want nothing but pain and murder and death upon your characters, but also the best future golden reality as possible. I should say, by the way, if people are wondering, I am fanning myself with this absolutely pretty gorgeous bookmark that I got from Mythical Studios. Because I finished a book today, so I have a bookmark now.
Hey.
Because you girls doing research again. Literally finished it 10 minutes before the stream started.
Amazing.
Yeah, the only character I've ever had where I've actively wanted, even if I wanted a villain arc for them, the only character where I've actually wanted like a bad end for them is Marin.
And then Sarah turned up.
Like, even with Sarah, like, Marin would never have been a good influence on Sarah. Like, what Marin thinks being a good person entails, like, there's a difference between Marin and Pox, right? Like, Pox thinks that she's a bad person to the bone, but is a good person. Marin thinks she is a good person, but is a bad person. So, like, Marin would have taken Sarah and gone to Strahd and been like, let's make a deal, because that's what she thinks being a good person is. Right? Whereas Pox would never do that. What Pox's alignment is, I have no idea.
Look, we're at the point in our D&D career where we don't use the alignment square anymore.
No. I think she's technically neutral good, but, like, it's complicated. But ultimately, I think, as a person, that Pox is a good person. Even though, if you asked Pox that at gunpoint, she would say no. I think every day about what Kika said to her. What did she do? What did Pox do that made you think she was such a bad person?
You need to find that quote and put it into a compilation.
Yeah.
So a compilation of Kika attacking Pox personally.
Look, if I'm just making self like just stuff for me basically that you guys can see, I could make a Pox master comp of just like all the things that made Pox what Pox will become, either dead or a good person, I guess. Or a fucking Lord of the Abyss, why not? Pox is such a weird character that I'm so chaotic about how they end up. You could convince me of most things and I'd be like, that seems correct. Me and Das have joked for a long time that Pox is a villain origin story, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Pox is the backstory of someone who becomes the Joker. Like... I leant away from that instinct with Glory. I was like, no, she's not gonna have like the tragedy happened to her. She didn't start that way. With Pox, I did not lean away from that instinct to give her just the saddest backstory.
That's the thing. My characters very much always stick to the theme of good people that bad things happen to.
Yes, that's generally true of me as well. Even my characters that I play that are bad are generally just self-aggrandizing. It's like Marin was a bad person because Marin thought that she was the most important person in the universe. It wasn't that she actively wanted harm on other people. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the way I do morality in my characters. Is like, it's the selfless, selfish spectrum. It's like, that's why Pox is interesting for me to play, because Pox is a selfish character who is a good person also. Where normally I operate where selfless people are good and selfish people are bad. It's an attempt at something a bit different, which I think from the bullshittery that is this party, we all tried to do something a bit different.
Oh yeah, and yeah. We all came into this game without checking with each other, and we're all just like, "What if I did something crazy?
What if I did something really weird?"
The entire group were like, "What if we did something weird?"
So, like, if you look at like Critical Role parties as they've gone on, the Critical Role Campaign 3 party is insane.
Good.
Because everyone just goes a little bit more out of their comfort zone every time. It's like, if you look at my like active characters, Pox and Kid are ridiculous characters. Kid's backstory is much simpler than Pox's, but they're both ridiculous as characters. The entire time during character creation, I was smiling like a madman. I will remember the Player Princess character creation for forever, because I was in a call with everyone without being able to speak, because I was like on my phone with this headset on. I couldn't speak, and I was just sending Das screenshots of an increasingly smaller list until I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. And at one point in that list, the combination Centaur Rogue came up.
Yes, I do remember you telling me that.
That was just for fun though, because it was like, I had a short list of races I wanted to play and a short list of classes I wanted to play, and one of them was the it wasn't Phantom Rogue because that didn't exist yet, but it was something like that. It was like or like Shadow Monk, something like that. And I was like, that is fucking hilarious to even think about. The idea of a centaur sneaking is very funny to me. Yeah, let me hang on. If I search the word shortlist in our DMs. So my old chess girls will never get over, but Ophelia nearly became a Tabaxia centaur but got halfling. God, it was so funny. My God, sorry, I'm reading back through mine and Dus's messages from when I was making characters, and I just in this exchange, which I feel like I want to punch Das for. I can't remember what your stance is on Asimar. You're a no person, right? You're more than welcome to be my first Asimar. Hype. You must have known at that point what Kay was playing. Oh, wait, actually, this might have been... This was not for Pox. This was for the one-shot we did, where I missed the memo on the campaign for Equal Heights. This was my, my Shadow Sorcerer, Joanna. Doctor of Planar Anatomy and Biology. Oh, I need to run Joanna again. God, she was one of those one-shot characters where you come up with an idea and you're like, shit, this is way better than a one-shot character. Dr. Joanna Loca. Planar Anatomy and Biology.
Sounds like she'd get on with Viri. because Viri is planar explorer.
Define get on.
Similar interests. Viri's whole
Yeah.
shtick is planar exploration, understanding how planes work, how planes interact, the environment of different planes, the people of the planes. She's all about that thing.
Yes. In that, on a professional academic level, they would
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah,
Joanna...
She's one of my birds who actually has a brain cell. She is she's fairly intelligent and fairly wise.
Joanna's completely... Joanna's my Dr. Jekyll.
Ah, I see.
I love characters that are pursuit of knowledge above all else, and Joanna's that for me. That was what was funny about that campaign, because we were in like prison, and it was like you guys were all put in there for like standing up for equal heights, like Goofy, and it was like thing of like, well, why are you in here? And it's like, well, let's not talk about it, because Joanna was definitely in there for like war crime. Yeah.
We approached the one shot with very much.
She's on the Dr. Frankenstein wavelength a little bit.
Yeah, we very much decided that this one shot was going to be goofs. So we were like, it's a one shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I accidentally went too deep. Yeah, I sent a screenshot of the pitch for the character, and the screenshot that Daz sent back is the Wikipedia thing that's like, early life, crimes begin, crimes continue. God, I'd love to run her again. Maybe if Pox dies next week, I'll bring Joanna in. Just what we need in this party, another spellcaster.
I was about to say another criminal.
I can only bring criminals into the campaign. Oh my god. Look. Was Pox in prison? Yes. Was Pox a criminal? I mean, yes. Objectively, yes. Oh my god. Yeah, my short list of characters I wanted to play for this one shot were was a Shadow Sorcerer, an Undying Warlock, or a Long Death Monk. I'm all for more war crimes in pop. I've never committed several in session 1. Look, whether or not Joanna's committed war crimes is up for debate. It cannot be proven. It's complicated. I still haven't found the thing I came into this looking for. Okay. Yes, okay. My shortlist was... What is 4 elements? Is that a monk?
That's the type of monk, yeah.
Was a Gensai 4 elements monk. I had the race and then the different concepts that I had. So it was a 4 elements monk Gensai. And I would build the character out after this. And I had little exclamation marks next to the ones I really wanted to play. And the exclamation marks were Asimar, a blood cleric, a mutant blood hunter, or a 4 elements monk. And then I had Elandrin. I had 4 elements monk on all of these. Knowledge cleric, Elandrin. Again, mutant blood hunter. And then I had changeling, ghost slayer, shadow monk, blood cleric, I think is what that was. Yeah, and then literally there's a small break. I send an even more whittled down one that's just the Asimar and just the changeling ones. and then a character that I'd pre-made that I was like, I could bring her in. And then I said, there was a long break, and then it says, I have a wild card. Changeling, Profane Soul, Bloodhunter disguised as a warlock. And then there's a day-long break, and Das sends me the message, so tell me, have you decided? And I said, have I decided? They asked. Das, I'm in love with her already. That was literally how quick it was. Yeah, she's a changeling, profane soul, bloodhunter, but she's covering as an Elandrin celestial warlock. Let me copy her, what I have of her backstory, and you'll ... understand. And then I send a block of text about this big.
That do be how D&D be.
And then 3 messages later, after establishing a bunch of character things, Das says, right, I'll think about this. Nice. Now my challenge for you, Curls, and each of these words are in different messages. Don't tell Blue.
Look, we be new, okay? We be new.
Yeah. And then I respond with a bit of clarification, and then it's, you can't tell anyone. You know, I eyes emojis that mutant blood hunter. I was really up for it. But I was so close to playing a blood cleric this campaign. It's not even funny. Even it's even to the point that I have a character that I've made in my back pocket that is a changeling blood cleric. But literally, Pogs basically came from the fact that I realized that the Profane Soul Blood Hunter was almost entirely based on the Celestial Warlock. Like, the Warlock that they were basically meant to be mistaken for each other. Then I was like, well, guess I'm making a liar. A liar and a terrible person. God, I was so set on playing a 4 Elements monk, and now it's not even one I remember. Wonder why. Oh, is it because it's the spellcasting monk?
I mean, it's not spell casting technically. They use key points to cast.
It would have been a versatile character. Not a... You know what I mean? Like, this is another spec where you perform 2 functions,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. If you want to classify what they do as spellcasting, then they are a melee spellcaster.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah. Now I'm looking at it, I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, we all wanted to play sort of versatile roles, I guess. We were an entire party of all-rounders.
Yeah, because we'd played a campaign of people being in their set roles.
Dedicated roles, yeah. What is party balance?
I think we gave up on party balance the moment we had a campaign with 8 people in it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Amen. If I know what party balance is. Yeah. Look, not to bring it background to Brennan, I've watched him run some truly insane stuff. I'm not entirely convinced that party balance exists. That clip that I used for the meme comp that I made of us, By the way, for people in chat, not in my friend group, I made a meme comp of them.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Chill.
And the clip from Dimension 20 I used from that is from the craziest combat I've ever seen. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Which now means it's going to last forever. Whew. But that combat from that episode... There's a reason why Brandon looks so severe. How is it like 11 already?
Wow, Jesus, it is.
That really just happened, huh?
It sure did.
So with Poe, I did keep the secret even though I promised that an NPC wouldn't, even though they kind of did. Honestly, like, kudos with Pop. You really did it with Parks. Like, me and you kept a lid on that. Like, a couple people worked certain things out, but we kept the fucking lid on that shit. I don't think we leaked that at all. I think there was an Archon rule you needed to get back to blue on. I think it was just like the...
I think it was more you needed to just, like, write out rules for me, because when we were in the game, you were like, oh, there's a different role that you've got to do to up the level of a spell, and I was like, this is the first time I've heard of that. So you need to just write, if you have rules in mind for how it works, you gotta fucking tell me, basically. Because up until this point, I've literally just had the one role that I just roll when I do Archon stuff. So if you want to be complicating that rule, then you need to tell me what those rules are.
Leave it to me, they say.
My current thing is basically it's basically an Arcana check, but it's using Kika's Charisma because that's her spellcasting ability, rather than basic Arcana, which uses Intelligence. And that's basically it. That's all I do. So if you want it to be more complicated than that, then you gotta get on that. Yeah, just like write out rules for the entire thing. It'd be easier that way, because then we've got like a reference thing. You're basically writing another feat. If you're writing a feat for Frog, then you're essentially writing an Archon feat for me and Nemo.
I love how many times you zoom out and it's just this Capy.
This is the first time I've kind of really drawn a suit. It's been literally eclipsed by the Capy. It's fair that, yeah, you don't have rules for everything, because it's literally an ability which breaks the rules, so...
Yeah.
And especially because of how I characterize it quite often, of how Kiki uses it, which is using, literally physically using the weave.
Warn you, it is basically 11.
It is basically 11, yeah. I was just looking at it and thinking, like, what to do next, but now I'm looking at the clock and, like, no, don't start something. Just...
Yeah. That's enough. That's enough.
While I was in that fight and, like, stuff kept magically happening, I even if my reaction wasn't constantly being used for stuff all the time, one of the things that I was considering trying to use the Archon thing for was essentially to be very cheeky, because, you know, it is a game-breaking ability, which was to try and essentially, quote-unquote, counterspell something that wasn't a spell. Which is that, because of the way I characterize it, she literally, you know, manipulates the weave and the threads that make that up. And it's like, well, a spell is not the same as magic, but so long as something is magical, she can mess with it because that's the weave. So I was literally going to be like, well, can I quote-unquote counterspell this by cutting its thread?
Can I make Dispel Magic a reaction?
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
But it never came up because there were other things happening all the time, but it was something in the back of my brain of like, that's what she would, because that was literally how I thought that counterspell kind of worked, or at least how it worked if Kika ever cast it. It's that she basically just sees the thread for the spell and is like, nope, and cuts it. And then my brain was like, well, in theory, that would work for anything that's magical, not just spells.
One day I will need to bring in one of my back pocket characters, which is Cassandra, who's to do with like the Weave of Fate.
Ooh.
Like time. Kika, her.
Yes. Knitting.
Knitting. Embroidery.
Just two characters knitting together, and everybody in the room is slightly scared of like, what are they doing?
She's my cool blind seer character.
Nice.
And she's extremely good.
Very good. Yeah.
If I ever bring her into a character, if I ever bring it into a campaign, everyone be afraid. Right, we're off.
Yeah, it's basically 11 o'clock, give or take. And
goodbye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did the faux pas of starting a conversation as we're ending. We can continue this chat in Discord, Das. Whatever you're about to type it in Discord.
Yep. Right.
Love you all. Thank you so much. We had quite a few people come into this tonight.
Yeah, thanks for vibing. We got D&D tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Potentially, I've successfully bullied two of my friends into playing A Way Out on Friday.
Brilliant. Yes, we need to organise that as well. Right, I'll try not to get my intro and outro screen mixed up like I did the last time I streamed.
Oof.
I started the stream with a screen that said goodbye, and I was like, that would explain why I've got like no people watching. Whoops. Okay. The away screen. Right. Goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow. Love you all. Goodbye.